days in the mall soon fell into a predictable rhythm. The group split responsibilities to maintain a balance between scavenging, securing the premises, and managing their limited resources. The survivors established a makeshift schedule. Stephen and Francine handled the communications and documentation. Roger and Peter managed the security and exploration tasks, and everyone contributed to maintaining the internal infrastructure of their new home. Every morning, the team conducted a sweep of the mall's perimeters, ensuring that all entrances were fortified and that the undead outside were at a manageable distance. The security team, led by Roger and Peter, used the mall's surveillance system to monitor the movement of the zombies, allowing them to plan their daily scavenging expeditions with greater safety. Francine took on the role of coordinating the group's daily activities, using her organizational skills to streamline their efforts. She also made sure to keep their morale up by setting up small routines, simple pleasures like movie nights or themed dinners with the limited supplies they could scavenge. Stephen, on the other hand, used his knowledge of media technology to monitor radio broadcasts and occasional emergency signals, hoping for some sign of rescue or aid. The mall, once a symbol of consumer excess and convenience, now stood as a grim monument to the world before. The survivors ventured into its various stores, discovering both the luxury and the profound emptiness left in the wake of the apocalypse. Their exploration revealed a contrast between the opulence of pre-crisis life and the stark reality they faced. The once popular department stores, like a high-end fashion outlet and an electronics store, revealed shelves still stocked with items that seemed both alluring and irrelevant. The team found racks of designer clothes, expensive jewelry, and high-end electronics. While the luxury items offered a temporary escape from their harsh reality, they ultimately served little practical purpose. For instance, Francine found a treasure trove of fine clothing that, though beautiful, was impractical in their current circumstances. She used them to add a touch of normalcy to their otherwise dire situation, occasionally hosting makeshift fashion shows to lift spirits. The electronics store, with its wide array of gadgets, offered some useful tools, batteries, radio equipment, and flashlights. Yet, these were mere drops in the ocean of their survival needs. Stephen and Peter spent hours testing and repurposing the equipment, hoping to salvage anything that might help in their quest for information or communication. The true weight of their situation became apparent as they delved deeper into the mall. The food court, once a lively hub of social activity, was now a desolate space filled with overturned chairs and abandoned trays of half-eaten meals. The once bustling carousel, a symbol of joy and celebration, stood motionless, its vibrant colors fading and its music a distant memory. The discovery of a pharmacy, though initially promising, only deepened their sense of loss. While they managed to gather some essential medical supplies, the emptiness of the store's once stocked shelves was a stark reminder of how dire their situation was. The realization that they were reliant on dwindling resources and could not replace what they had used weighed heavily on them. As the days passed, tensions among the group began to surface. Roger's confrontational nature and Peter's more measured approach occasionally clashed, particularly when decisions needed to be made about exploration routes or resource allocation. Stephen's attempts to mediate were often met with frustration, as each member grappled with the pressures of their new reality. Francine's attempts to maintain a sense of normalcy often clashed with the more practical needs of the group. While she believed in keeping spirits high through routine and small comforts, Stephen and the others were sometimes focused on the more immediate concerns of survival. The internal dynamics of the group reflected their collective struggle to adapt to their new existence. Each character faced their own personal challenges. Stephen and Francine struggled with the emotional toll of their situation. Roger grappled with the pressure of his leadership role, and Peter dealt with the burden of his responsibilities and the strain on his partnership with Roger. In the quiet moments between their activities, the survivors found themselves reflecting on their past lives. The mall, with its myriad stores and once vibrant spaces, served as a stark contrast to their current reality. The opulence of the pre-apocalyptic world seemed like a distant memory, replaced by the harshness of their present struggle. The fragile peace within the mall was both a testament to the survivors' resilience and a reminder of the challenges they faced. Their routine had brought a sense of order, but the emptiness of their surroundings and the complexities of their interpersonal relationships highlighted the ongoing difficulties of their situation. As they continued to navigate their new world, the discovery of the mall's luxuries and its emptiness served as both a comfort and a constant reminder of the harsh reality they could not escape. The internal strife within the group reached a critical point during a routine scavenging raid. The mall, with its expansive layout and multiple access points, offered both opportunities and dangers. On this particular day, Roger and Peter were tasked with securing a new section of the mall, hoping to find additional resources and information. As the team navigated through the maze of shops and corridors, the tension among them was palpable. Stephen and Francine were tasked with managing supplies and maintaining the mall's defenses, while Roger and Peter explored a potentially high-yield area that had not yet been fully investigated. The group's unity was already strained, with underlying frustrations bubbling just beneath the surface. During the raid, Roger was unexpectedly overwhelmed by a swarm of zombies. In a split-second decision to save Peter from a similar fate, Roger took the brunt of the attack. Despite their best efforts to fend off the undead, Roger was bitten on the arm. The severity of his injury became clear when he exhibited symptoms of the infection shortly after their return to the mall. The news of Roger's bite hit the group like a sledgehammer. The reality of the infection meant that Roger's time was limited, and the emotional impact on the group was profound. Roger, once a symbol of strength and resilience, now faced the inevitable decline that came with the zombie infection. The emotional strain was exacerbated by the fact that Roger's condition meant that the group had to prepare for the possibility of his becoming one of the undead. As Roger's condition worsened, the already fragile relationships within the group began to deteriorate. Stephen's response to the crisis was to take a more authoritarian stance. His attempts to maintain order and control became increasingly rigid and uncompromising. The need to secure the mall and prepare for the worst led Stephen to make decisions that were often perceived as harsh and dictatorial. Stephen's authoritarian approach included strict controls over the group's activities and resources. He enforced rigid schedules for scavenging and reinforced security measures with little room for dissent. His decisions, though rooted in a desire to maintain order and ensure the group's survival, often came at the expense of personal relationships and individual autonomy. Peter, already strained by Roger's deteriorating health, found himself at odds with Stephen's leadership. The two former allies now clashed over strategic decisions and the management of resources. Peter's frustration with Stephen's approach was compounded by his own grief and helplessness over Roger's condition. The once cohesive team was now divided, with Peter and Stephen frequently engaging in heated arguments over the best course of action. Francine, caught between her loyalty to Stephen and her concern for the group's well-being, struggled to navigate the growing tensions. Her attempts to mediate between Stephen and Peter were often met with resistance from both sides. Her emotional distress was compounded by the looming threat of Roger's transformation and the potential loss of another key member of their group. The emotional toll of the situation was evident in the group's interactions. The stress of Roger's impending transformation, combined with the internal conflicts, created a pervasive atmosphere of unease. The once close-knit team now found themselves at odds, with personal grievances and emotional wounds coming to the forefront. Roger's deteriorating condition brought about a profound sense of helplessness. Despite their best efforts to contain the infection and keep Roger comfortable, the inevitability of his transformation was a constant source of dread. The group's attempts to preserve their humanity and dignity in the face of Roger's impending demise became a focal point of their collective grief. Stephen's authoritarian decisions, while aimed at maintaining order, often exacerbated the group's emotional strain. His insistence on strict control and lack of flexibility in decision-making created friction and resentment among the survivors. The once supportive environment had become a battleground of conflicting priorities and strained relationships. Peter's role in the group became increasingly complicated. His tactical expertise and practical approach were overshadowed by the growing personal conflict with Stephen. The stress of Roger's condition and the breakdown of their team's unity took a significant toll on Peter's mental state, further straining his interactions with Stephen and the rest of the group. As Roger's condition continued to worsen, the group was forced to confront the grim reality of their situation. The once familiar routines and sense of purpose that had defined their daily lives now seemed to unravel. The luxuries and comforts of the mall, which had once provided a temporary escape from their dire circumstances, were overshadowed by the harsh realities of their survival. The mall, once a symbol of consumer excess and convenience, now stood as a monument to their struggle and suffering. The luxury stores and empty spaces served as stark reminders of the world they had lost and the challenges they faced in their fight for survival. The internal collapse of the group mirrored the external collapse of their world. The bonds that had once held them together were now frayed and strained, and the emotional toll of their situation was evident in every interaction. The once cohesive team was now a collection of individuals grappling with their own fears, frustrations, and grief. The collapse of the group's internal dynamics was evident. Roger's deteriorating health and Stephen's increasingly authoritarian leadership had shattered the fragile peace that had once existed within the mall. The tensions between Stephen and Peter, combined with the emotional strain of Roger's condition, created a volatile environment where survival was no longer just a matter of facing external threats but also managing the internal conflicts that threatened to tear the group apart. The survivors faced an uncertain future, their sense of unity and purpose increasingly compromised by the harsh realities of their situation. As they continued to navigate the challenges of their new world, the collapse of their internal relationships served as a stark reminder of the fragility of their existence and the ongoing struggle to maintain their humanity in the face of overwhelming adversity.